In this video I get recovered by the RAC from the side of the road in my girlfriend's Fiat 500, and we crack on now actually getting the timing chain and all the ancillaries sorted on this Mini R53 engine. So just a little note before we get going properly: if I seem a little bit flat or lackluster in this video or down, it's because I have just lost a family member. So yeah, which isn't obviously news that I ever wanted to have come true, but if I am just a bit flat this video, excuse me. Yeah, hell of a Monday. So I was just driving my girlfriend to work in her car, my foot on the accelerator, and then the car kind of lurched. It was almost like the engine had been starved of fuel or starved of air, and then it picked up again, and then it went, and then I got to a roundabout, came to a stop, pulled out from the roundabout, and then it just died right in the middle of a roundabout. So me and my missus had to jump out of the car, push it in the middle of rush hour Monday morning, up a hill. It doesn't look like it's good news, to be quite honest with you. So this car, this is a 2010 Fiat 500. This is one of the twin air models, 2-cylinder 875cc engine. Now what he did do, the RAC patrolman, was he opened the oil and there's almost no oil whatsoever on the dipstick itself. And he had a good look down just through the cap, and he got me to turn the car over, because the car does turn over and it makes a quite horrendous noise. And his precise words were, "That doesn't sound very good at all." He reckons it's got no compression either. Oh. So there's oil in the car and there's no evidence that we could see, just cursory, of any oil leaks. So it might be that the engine has been starved of oil, so whether there's a blockage in an oil line or the oil pump's gone or something. And if it's an oil starvation, well, I think we all know what that means. But I will keep you updated on this, because if this turns out to be a dead car, I think it's more than likely I'll take this car off of my missus, and then we'll have it on the channel and we'll do something with it. What a start to a Monday. Right, and now we're back to our regularly scheduled programming. I'm in the workshop. I'm just going to crack on now with the timing chain. Brilliant. My nan bought this for me from Wilkinson's as a Christmas present a few years ago, kind of like as a bit of a joke, but it's actually come in handy so many times. These are the spark plugs, so that's the condition they are in. They don't look the freshest. Got some replacements which are NGK as well. Okay, now can we separate the head, the rocker cover? There we go. So, does anybody know anything about engines? What does that look like to you? Any good? I'm really hoping that this takes this off, because otherwise I'm going to have a real problem with this spinning when I try to undo it. Of course it doesn't do it. Oh, I've got an idea. I'm thinking that if I lock this cam, which is obviously connected to the crank via this chain, that should lock that, and I should be able to actually take this bolt out now. And I'm not worried about breaking the chain or the sprocket or anything, because obviously I'm replacing all of it. So yes, Beautiful. That tool cost me 40 quid. Maybe I'll get to use it one day again. But on that point, actually, to be fair, so there's one of you guys, has got the username MSI Razor. Thanks for the support, by the way. Always commenting on my videos, I appreciate it and I see it. I actually made the point the other day on one of my videos where, yeah, you know, like I bought this new tool for 40 quid. He or she made the point that I could easily now get into quite a rhythm of buying R53 minis basically and using all this new knowledge that I've got and all the new tools to do more than one, which is definitely a fair shout. The only thing I do worry about is, would you guys, the viewers, get bored if all I did was mini R53s? And again, another sign of complete arsery. This bolt here is supposed to be a Torx there, it's missing, which means two things, doesn't it? Number one, a monkey, a genuine certified monkey has worked on this car. Two, this timing chain has probably already been replaced. Moment of truth. My immediate reaction is relief-ish. I've seen quite a few nightmare versions of this where these chain guides have actually just basically snapped off and then they end up down there in the sump. These don't look like they've done anything of the sort, and the chain has quite a lot of tension, which is a good thing in and of itself, but it's actually filling me with a tiny bit of dread, because then where did my death rattle come from? So I was getting the dreaded death rattle that these suffer from in this area. When it was running, you put your head in this area and you could hear the death rattle, but the chain looks like it's got a lot of tension. The chain tensioner looks like it's applying tension correctly, you can see it there, which makes me wonder what the rattle was. I really hope it wasn't the bottom end. And then I'm going to try to get this bottom sprocket off. That often causes people a world of pain, and with my rudimentary tools and experience, if it looks like it's going to start giving me jip, I'm probably going to leave this on. I have seen on a lot of forums, and I did speak to a mechanic friend who said that, you know, unless it's showing visible signs of wear, you'll be alright to actually leave that on. Okay, so there is the chain tensioner. I mean, guys, if you're noticing anything here that really stands out to you that I'm missing, that I really should be taking a look at, please do put it in the comments below. So if you see something where you're just going, oh my god, he's going to miss that, he's going to miss it, please, please, please write in the comments. Okay, so let's go. I'm just going to go nice and gently with this, because I do not want to start screwing with anything. Look, you see that? Look, that's just spinning. Oh god, what if no, because I need the chain on there to lock it, don't I? Okay, so try as I might, this sprocket on the crankshaft isn't coming off. I can't take this off without turning the engine, and I can't lock the engine, as we now know. Right, so because these screws were loose in the timing cover and I've actually got a screw missing, I do believe that this timing has already been done. And I'm just looking at the crankshaft sprocket and there aren't any signs of wear on there. It is a fairly new item. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to replace all the other parts still. I'm going to do the cam sprocket, the cam bolt, the crankshaft bolt, the chain, the tensioner and the guides, and I'm going to leave the sprocket, to be honest with you. 6, 10. Okay, that's good news. That actually all went on just fine. So this is all on properly, torqued up to spec. Now really the only thing for me to do is just start assembling all of the parts on the engine again. So I'm going to need to put the alternator back on. We've got the supercharger, the water pump, chain tensioner, the auxiliary belt, the pulley, the idler, all of the little bits and bobs, put the bungs back in here. So it's just kind of just reassembly really, just in reverse. So I'm just going to crack on. Okay, Fiat 500 update. So that was my mechanic, just came over to take a look at the car. The strangest thing happened. So my mechanic Ben came round and he performed a compression test. He put his tester in cylinder 1, usual, cranked the engine, nothing, no compression, not registering a single jot. Flipped it over to the second cylinder, cranked the engine, nothing. And he said, I'll just try it again, see what happens. Cranked it again, and the engine just sprang back to life completely by itself. So the car went from having no compression whatsoever to full compression, just completely by itself. It's a little bit mental, and Ben even said himself, he said in all the years he's been a mechanic, he's never had a car that didn't have compression and then without doing a single thing all of a sudden just did have compression. So I've let the car cool down a bit. We let it run and it was absolutely fine. We put a bit of oil in it, absolutely no problem whatsoever. So I have let the car cool right down now, and I'm going to try it again and we'll just see if it starts up on its own accord on the dot. What the hell's going on? So this really is a bit of a weird one. So what Ben reckons has happened was that the engine has had some oil starvation, and when you have oil starvation on an engine, there are numerous things that can go wrong with it. Like it's game over. He thinks what might have happened, because he only did a quick diagnosis really. To do a proper diagnosis on this car, you're gonna have to quite literally take the engine apart. Like, it could be so many different things. He says it could be something like a piston ring dislocating from the piston, because there's no lubrication in the cylinder. It's just wearing against a bare metal cylinder, heating up, and it's come away from the piston. And then as we were doing the compression test, there might have been something about it that forced that piston ring back into place, and then that's why we've got compression again and the car's running. Another thing it could be is a valve. A valve could have been stuck, bent, something due to the lack of lubrication. So I'm reluctant to say this is a good motor. I very much think this is still a broken motor, because once you've been oil starved, you've been oil starved. And so although the car's running now, it doesn't mean that it's going to run later today. But watch this actually, look, if I just accelerate. That's not condensation, that's smoke. Fuck's sake. I'm not driving it, I'm not even going to bother driving it. It's smoking, I know it's bad. Right, so we're on the next day. I packed in last night, I was just fed up. It was just one thing after the other. But I did actually end up making quite a good bit of progress reassembling the engine. So I've managed to get the supercharger back in. You know, I've mounted the ears, I've got the rocker cover on, cleaned it up, we've got new spark plugs, we've got a new rocker cover gasket, we've got our new low-end bolts in there, which are looking fantastic. I've got a new tensioner that I bought, because the old one is, well, I'll show you the old one. And you can see the damper here. If I pull the damper, that's not damping anything. So I bought a brand new chain tensioner assembly. So we've got a new pulley on, and we've got a new idler, which actually came in the kit for the tensioner. But the only thing is that I need to fit this new bolt in here in the pulley, but I've got the same problem that I had before, in that I can't torque that bolt up because it's going to spin the engine. So I'm going to have to get everything fitted as best I can, get the engine back in the car, connect the gearbox, drive shafts, and then lock the engine and then tighten that last bolt up. So, but like, this week couldn't get much worse. So I've lost a grandparent, I've lost my only working car, and now I've lost one bolt. I've lost one bolt that is hampering my progress now on here. So I was putting everything back together, and there's these water pump bolts that go in there. There's 4 of them. I've lost one. I cannot for the life of me find it, but I've checked all in the grass, I've checked in the stones, I thought it might have rolled away somewhere down in the grate. I have got a load of rubbish over here, they've got some load of crap in it, and it's not in there, which means the only place I can think that it actually is in here, because a few days ago I chucked a load of old bolts and everything into this bin, and all I can think is that it's ended up in here. It was an empty bin, so they're all at the bottom. So I've now got to go dumpster diving to get it out. Guess what? It's not in there. I am done with this week. I'm done.